Absolute value piecewise function. Evaluate piecewise functions. So we have the value here is h is equal to 6. So we have h, not h equal to 6, but we actually have the function h of 6, which is the same thing as saying x is equal to 6. So we want to figure out where can we use x equal to 6. Well, for us to use this part of the formula, because it gives us actually three different types of formulas here. So we have three different types of formulas to plug in for the x. To take the 6, put it in for the x. But you only use the one that's made for x equal to 6. This one has got to be x equal to 0, so that's not going to work. This has to be equal to x equal to 7. That's not going to work. The one that you can use is actually this last equation, because you can plug into this equation as long as it's not a 0 or a 7. So again, on this equation right here, x is equal to 6. That's okay, you can use this equation. So we can say 3 of x minus 2. We go ahead and replace the x with a 6. We do the multiplication, so we get 18 minus 2 is equal to 16. So what we find is that h of 6 is equal to 16. Okay, the next set of equations here, we will have that h of 0. So our function's name is h, so we have h of 0. Well, that's the same thing as saying that x is equal to 0. So what you have here is negative 3. So negative infinity to negative 3. So basically what you're doing here is you're starting at negative 3, but you're moving to the left. So that goes negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, and so forth. So that's no good. If you take a look at this problem right here, you're starting at negative 3, so you're including the negative 3, but you're going to stop at 3. So you're actually going to include the 3. We can show that with a solid dot, but we're not going to include the 3, so we can show that with an open circle. So this goes from negative 3 to 3. Now this one right here starts at 3, but it moves to the right. So here it's going to the right, so this would be 4, 5, 6, 7, so forth. And again, in this case here, this would actually be solid because you have that bracket there. If we go back to the first one, you do have like parentheses here, so that means that these are open circles because the negative 3 is not included. But anyway, the first one right here is moving to the left, going from negative 3, working its way to the left. This one is starting at negative 3, including the negative 3, but not including the 3, but it's going from negative 3 to 3. This one is starting at 3 and then moving to the right. So of course the best choice is right here. So we're going to use the second equation. So we're going to say, in this case here, not so much x. So let's get rid of that. Let's change that, because the letter that we're using is actually a letter T. So let's make this a letter T here. So we come in here and it should be a letter T. So we have T is equal to 0, and we're going to use this equation right here. So we're going to show T parentheses T plus 4. And actually they don't have equal signs, so these actually are technically expressions. So we're going to replace each letter T with a 0. So we're going to say 0 plus 4. So now we're going to take care of the parentheses. So inside the parentheses we do get a 4. We now multiply these together, and that gives me 0. So what we have here is h of 0 is equal to 0. So h of 0 is equal to 0. Okay, next one, we have f of 2. So right here we have f of 2, and f of 2 is the same thing as saying t since the letter we're using here are t's, not x's, t is equal to 2. So if we look at the first expression here, because these are actually expressions, not equations, we have t's equal to 8. So t is equal to 2. T does not equal 8, so we can't use that equation. Okay, we move to the second equation. You have t is equal to 10. You can only use this equation if t is equal to 10. So the best choice would be the last one, because here on this one you cannot use the 8 or the 10, but you can use any other number there. So we'll come over here and we'll write down that equation, or not equation, but that expression. We'll say t to the second minus 3t plus 2. So wherever we have a t, we'll put a 2 in there, and I'll tell you what, we'll use parentheses when we change the letter to a number. So now we have minus 3, then we have parentheses 2 plus 2. So now let's do our order of operations to take care of the exponents first. So 2 times 2 is 4. Let's do the multiplication here. This is negative 6 plus 2. Order of operations, well, subtraction, addition are the same, so we go from left to right. 4 minus 6 is a negative 2 plus 2, so this would equal 0. So what we get at the end here is that f of 2 is equal to 0. So f of 2, the value for this is 0. Okay, so here we have h of 0, and again we're using letter t's, and we're going to say t is equal to 0. Okay, we have, like we had before, these parentheses means that they're not included, that are open. So we're going to start at a negative 3, and infinity means we're moving it to the left, and we're not going to include the negative 3. So negative 3 and any number to the left of negative 3. So that would be negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, and so forth. Okay, here we go from negative 3, but we're working our way to a positive 3. Now we're including the negative 3, but we're not including the positive 3, because here we have that bracket. So the bracket means we include it, parentheses means the number is not included. Okay, the next one, we're starting at positive 3. Infinity means this is actually positive because there is no negative sign in front of it, so our assumption this is positive. So this is moving to the right. Since we have a bracket here, this will be a solid circle, so we're including the 3. So now we want to figure out where does 0 fit in. Well, 0 doesn't fit here because negative 3 is moving its way to the left. 0 does not fit in here because we started 3 going to the right. So here is where your 0 is. Your 0 again is with this second equation here. So we're going to take the expression, not the equation. So we're going to say t parentheses t plus 4. Go ahead and change each letter t to 0. Okay, go ahead and solve this down. So we have 0, and then we have 0 and 4. When we multiply that out, that becomes 0. So the value of h of 0 is equal to 0.